Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my April 2021 wrap-up and stats video. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I do these a little bit different than some other booktubers. A lot of people will go through all of the books that they read over the course of the month and give you star ratings, which is all great. I love watching those. But to be honest, I am a bit of a stats nerd. And I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets to track my reading. Now, I shouldn't say that. I have one major spreadsheet that I use to track my reading. And every month I love to sit down and pull the stats from that spreadsheet and share them with you guys because I think it's kind of a lot of fun on how I break down my reading and, you know, what I find interesting and stuff like that. So what I do in these videos is I will go through all of the books, like all of the stats, that I have. What I've done in like the last month or so is I would go through after my stats, I would go through all of the books that I have read over the course of the month and give you guys my star rating. I'm actually not going to do that this month because I have 28 books that I read, so it would take a while. So I'm going to go back to what I used to do, which was just share with you my top 5 reads of the month. So because I do talk about all of these books in my weekly wrap-ups, or my weekly reads videos, excuse me. So I have mentioned them all at some point, but I'll kind of give you guys a breakdown of my top 5. So let's get into the stats to start with. So as I've already said, I read 28 books this month, you guys. This is by far the best month that I've had all year. It's only the 4th month, but still. I had 25 books that were new reads, and 3 of them were rereads. For my Goodreads goal, I am 28 books ahead of schedule, you guys. I'm at 77 out of 150 books completed. I'm at 51% of that goal. I'm not changing that goal. In years past, I would go through and I would probably change it and bump it up, but I'm not going to do that this year. I just want to see where the end of the year takes me, essentially, in terms of my reading. So into star ratings. So I had 4 3-star reads, 7 3.5-star reads, 10 4-star reads, 4 4.5-star reads, and 3 5-stars this month, you guys. That's pretty good. So my average star rating for the month was 3.91 stars, which is actually down. In March, it was 4.15 stars was my average star rating. So in terms of the genre that I read, guys, I was all over the map in the month of April, and I think that really did help me to be able to bounce around to different things. So I read 12 contemporary romances, which is my bread and butter. That's typically what I read. But I read 3 cozy mysteries, 3 romantic suspense, 3 middle grade fiction novels, 1 inspirational romance, a thriller, an inspirational romantic suspense, a chick lit, a historical fiction, a paranormal romance, and an erotica. Although I want to say that one was erotica light. I like to keep track of which category romances I read every month. I am, again, for those of you who are new, I am a huge fan of Harlequin and category romance, and I do tend to read a lot of those every month. And I like to keep track of how many of them I actually read. So 36% of what I read in the month of April was category romance, which is fantastic. So it breaks down to 2 intrigues, 2 special editions, a heartwarming, a romantic suspense, a presents, a love-inspired suspense, a dare novel, and a blaze novel. In terms of age group for the books, I read 25 books geared towards an adult audience and 3 geared towards a middle grade audience. 2 of the books I read were published in the 1990s. 1 was published in the 2000s. 7 were published in the 2010s. 9 were published last year in 2020, and 9 were published this year in 2021. So that's pretty awesome, I think. In terms of how I consume these books, I read 14 ebooks, 12 audiobooks, and 2 mass market paperbacks. That works out to 43% of what I read was on audio. I am keeping track of that stat. I want to keep it under 50%. That's my goal. In like the last year or so, audiobooks really took over my reading, which is fine. I mean, that's not a problem. I have no issue with audiobooks. Clearly, I think they're great. My issue is for me personally. If I'm purchasing a book for my Kindle or in a print copy or what have you, why am I then going out and getting another copy on audio to read it? Just read it in the form I picked it up in. That's kind of my brain thought behind it, and the reason why I'm kind of keeping track of that, because I really want to make the most of my reading my printer ebooks if I already own them that way. Now, the difference is if I can pick up the audiobook from the library, okay, then it's not costing me anything. But I refuse to spend a credit or spend money on an audiobook for a book I already own a copy of. Even though you can get for like for the Amazon, for Audible, if you buy a Kindle edition, you can often get the audiobook cheaper, but like I've already paid for the Kindle edition. The only time I will do that, and I did it for one book this month, which was the Jodie Thomas, oh my gosh, what was it called? Breakfast at the Honey Creek Cafe. That one's actually available on Kindle Unlimited. So because I already paid for that service, it didn't cost me anything to get the audio or the ebook, and then I was able to get the audiobook for like $7. So, you know, there's a gray area, but in general, that's why I keep track of my audio stuff. Besides, to me, I mean, I love audio. I love listening to it while I'm doing other things, when I'm crafting or what have you, but there's just nothing beats sitting down with a book, whether it be a print book or an e-copy. That's just my opinion. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that whole tangent about that. So in terms of series, because you guys know I am series all over the place with my series. I read 22 of the books that I read this month were part of a series, and 6 of them were standalones. Of those 22 books that were part of a series, 9 were new series that I started. Oops. 12 were part of ongoing series, so yay on that one. And I did complete a series, which is great. And I completed The Magnolia Sisters by Michelle Major. I finished that series. Granted, it was only a 3-book series, but I still got it done. So thumbs up on that one. I read a grand total of 8,123 pages, works out to approximately 290 pages per day. So that's not too shabby. So just some random fun stuff that I like. I look at this at the end of every month. So the highest rated book that I read on Goodreads was Protecting His Witness by Julianne Lindsay. This one had an average star rating of 4.39 stars on Goodreads. I gave it 4 stars. The lowest rated book on Goodreads, this surprised me, but I think I understand why, was A Carolina Promise by Michelle Major. It still has a 3.50 star rating on Goodreads. I gave it 4 stars as well, and I think it's because it's a brand new release and it's a novella, and it's included. Like you can buy the novella right now separately. It's available, but it's also included at the end of Wildflower Season by Michelle Major, which is the first book in the Carolina Girls series. That doesn't come out till the end of May. So I think it's not an issue that people don't like it. I think it's more of an issue of not enough ratings on it. That's just my personal opinion because I thought it was really cute. The longest book I read in terms of page count was The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. That one had 464 pages. The shortest book that I read this month, again, was A Carolina Promise by Michelle Major. Came in at a whopping 37 pages. The average number of pages per book that I read, this is actually kind of interesting, was 290, which is the same for the total page count per day, roughly. So that's kind of interesting. So the number of books that I purchased, borrowed, or I got as art copies in the month of April was 68. That is down. Last month in March, it was 101. So nice, down a little bit. That's good. That's good. The average cost per book for purchasing them was 82 cents a piece. So clearly I get my stuff cheap. And of those 68 books, I read 7 of them. So that's actually a really good stat too, because in March, I purchased 101, or I acquired 101 books, but I only read 5 of them. So in this case, it's a little bit better. A little bit better. So for challenges and events, the only real thing that, in April, it was Amish in April. That was hosted by myself and Elizabeth over at Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I read 4 books for that challenge. I read Lethal Licorice by Amanda Flower. I read Gone Missing by Linda Castillo, which is the 4th book, I believe, in the Kate Burkholder series. I read Murder Simply Brewed by Vanetta Chapman, which I really enjoyed. And I'm doing this off the top of my head. And what other Amish book did I read? I know it was another mystery, or it was another Oh, I read Plain Target by Dana R. Lynn as well. So those were my 4 Amish books for Amish in April. I really enjoy doing that, and I'm looking forward to Elizabeth and I doing it again next year. A lot of you really do seem to like it. It's a fun little challenge, or a fun little readathon, I should say. So ratings breakdown. As I said, I'm only going to share. Oh yeah, and the other challenge, of course, that I do every month is my Triple RC challenge, my Romance Readers Reading Group challenge on Goodreads. I actually hosted the April challenge last month, and I did 10 out of 10, as I do every month. So that is now 5 years, 4 months that I have completed that challenge in full. A lot of people still ask if I do that, even though I do mention it now in my breakdown every month. But what I used to do when I did my TBR is that I would have that as a category, that I would pick specific books that I was going to read for that challenge, so I would share that with you guys at the beginning of the month. So what I think I might start doing next month, I didn't do it this month, but next month, is I will share with you guys the books that I picked and what the challenges were, so you can at least have that information. So now for ratings breakdown. Sorry for the noise, you guys. My mom is vacuuming. So ratings breakdown. So I go from least most favorite to most favorite. So coming in the 5th spot is The Last Carolina Sister by Michelle Major. I gave this one 4.5 stars. It was the final book in the Magnolia Sisters series. I really enjoyed it. It was so good. Michelle Major has hit 2 of these 5 books this month in my top 5. So I'll consider that to be pretty good. Coming in 4th place was The Hookup by Anne Marsh. I gave this one 4.5 stars as well. I do seem surprised by that because it is a dare novel, which are not my favorites. I originally, when I rated this one, I rated it a 5. But after reading a couple of other books, I actually ended up bumping that down to a 4.5, because even though I loved it, I think it was more like I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed it and went, oh my God, this is a 5-star read. When in reality, it was probably more of a 4.5. So that's why I changed the rating on that one. Now into my 3 5-star books. So coming in the 3rd spot was Macy McMillan and the Rainbow Goddess by Sherry Green. I gave this one 5 stars. It is a middle grade novel. I read this one on a whim. It's 2.5 hours long. I borrowed it from my library. It's absolutely adorable. As cheerful and happy as that cover is how adorable this book is. And if you're a fan of middle grade, you need to read this one. Coming in 2nd place is Wildflower Season by Michelle Major. I gave this one 5 stars as well. The first book in the Carolina Girls series. This book made me all kinds of happy. I just recently gushed about this one on my most recent weekly reads that came out on Sunday. I gushed about this one, the Macy McMillan book, and my number 1 pick. So check out that video if you want more information on those, on my top 3. And coming in at 1st place is probably no surprise to anyone, is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I loved this book. I know, and I was talking to some of my viewers. We were, mentioning in my comments for my weekly reads video, how the ending leaves you a little. It's not a happy ending, and I don't want to give anything away, but it's not everybody's happy, sunshine and roses kind of an ending. But I think it worked with the story. So I understand where people are coming from when they say that. Don't get me wrong, but I also feel that it fit with the story. So, that's just me, but I still loved this book. Thought it was absolutely fantastic, and if you love historical fiction, you need to give this one a read. So anyway, guys, that is all that I have for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and let me know, how did your April go? What was your favorite book that you read in the month of April? Come and chat with me in the comments below, and until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.